Hey everybody, thank you for coming in. I'm 2 minutes late because I could not pass a CAPTCHA on TradingView. I have no idea how to identify bicycles. It's mad. Anyway, happy Tuesday. Big Bitcoin news today. We'll talk about who is betting on $105,000 Bitcoin by September. We'll see if it's even possible. And is Bitcoin 10x scarcer than gold? Yes, it is. And crazy whale stacking that's happening, as well as a very dormant wallet that had some people rattled. We'll explain it's a nothing burger. Break down some stock to flow price targets. Talk about the biggest buying spree ever, and look at Bitcoin monthly returns and some history as well as made. Bitcoin has now handled 1 billion transactions, which is a crazy amount. So thank you all for coming. Thank you to Mods in chat. Hello, Clint. And yeah, let's go. Let's do this real fast because it's Tuesday, Octa later. First of all, shout out to Marble Man. I've made so much money being a Patreon member. Thank you so much. We had the best year and a half ever. Crazy times. But anyway, thank you for being there. Also, this will be in the Bitcoin only playlist later. And Bitcoin news time. Let's break it all down real fast. First of all, the main story today, Bitcoin derivatives traders are betting on a bullish price move above the $100,000 mark in September. And this is super interesting because we know that the Bitcoin whales are continuing to stack, but at the same time, there is some crazy bets happening. And I've been eagle-eyeing this chart every single day for the last 18 months. And it's uncanny how good these option traders are. Like I remember it was back in, I think it was December or January, that they were betting on a $70,000 Bitcoin in April. And they were right. It did hit that. It was crazy. But this is the set of Bitcoin options for September 2024. A mere 4 or 5 months away, depending on how you measure it. Actually, because it goes to the end of September. So we got the full month of September, August, July, June, and a good chunk of May. So that's 5 months. And here you can see all of the action. If you aggregate all of these bets, it gets you to about a strike price of $105,000, which is crazy. I'd say it's crazy. Only the point is, in the past, these degen bettors have been so good. So we'll see if they're right again this time. And 105,000 from where we are today at around 64,000 is exactly 64% gain. Weird numbers, weird patterns. I think I maybe off by a percentage in that calculation in my head. But again, for us to rise 64% in 5 months, is it hard? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Let's look at the Bitcoin monthly returns. And remember, we are in the bull run post-halving, and a lot of action we'll talk about that happens a few months after the actual halving. Now, so far we are up 5.5% for the month of May. Not that big. We had a nasty April, down 15%, but we had a great March, up 16%, and 44% in Feb. So literally, if we had another Feb, it would be pretty much get us to $100,000. And the question is, will it happen? Now, we also have to point here is September is historically the worst month for Bitcoin. But we also know this time is very different. So I will analyze this a little bit more. Stay tuned for more details. I got some ideas around some models about how to calculate probabilities of this too. And breaking news from Adam Back. One Bitcoin is about 10 times more scarce than 1 kilogram of gold and similarly priced. Should get repriced probably this cycle so that Bitcoin flips gold, passing gold parity at around 10 kilos of gold per Bitcoin. And I know you're all asking, what price is that? Well, I've calculated for you so you don't have to. Doing the math, given I had to calculate, I don't know ounces and how many ounces are in a kilogram. Anyway, 1 kilogram has 35.274 ounces. I had to Google that. 10 kilograms is 10 times 35.274 ounces, which is 352.74 ounces. And you multiply that by the price of gold right now, $2,300. That would take the Bitcoin price, if Adam Back is correct, and that 10 kilograms of gold should be the actual value of a Bitcoin, and the price of gold remains the same at 2,300. That would take us to $811,000 Bitcoin price, which is bonkers. But let's look at more Bitcoin news. It's all getting too exciting too fast. Someone just moved $350 million in Bitcoin across the planet for $3. Can your bank do this? It's bonkers. Literally, one transaction, $350 million for $3. You just gotta wait 10 minutes for it to hit. That's it. No other fees. Crazy. No slippage. No middleman. It's brilliant, I think. Every time I see that type of stuff, I get excited. Also, and speaking of money printing, in the last year, investors made over $900 billion in annual interest from the government. The government prints money to pay the interest on their own debt. You can't make this stuff. If you've ever defined a Ponzi, this is a Ponzi, ladies and gentlemen. At $2 million per minute, treasuries mint cash like never before, and deficits are exploding, and that is why I make Bitcoin videos, to protect the people out there. Even a little bit will help you. Now let's look at what's going on as well. Bitcoin passed 1 billion transactions over the last 15 years, and that is big news. And they're doing about 6 transactions a second. Not bad. 15.4 million transactions over the last 30 days. And the average per block is about 3,500 transactions per block. I will be doing a miner update real soon. There's lots of interesting things happening on the miner front. I'll hint a bit on it later in Octa, but I will be doing an updated miner video once I pull in all the data, which takes a lot of time, but it's important to do. Now, what are whales up to? Whales are buying, but remember, they're also the ETFs, and they're also Mr. 100s, etc. They have bought 10,000 Bitcoin in the last week, 10,201 to be precise, whereas the fish and the sharks are selling, and the shrimps are selling, and the whales are stacking. It's a zero-sum game. If someone sells, someone's buying, etc. The question is, do you want to follow the shrimps or do you want to follow the whales? Let's break down some of this action too. Right before I went live, which also caused a 2-minute delay, Sanjay sent me this. Mr. 100 just bought another 300 Bitcoin in the last few minutes. And to put things in perspective, and again, I know people say, oh, it's an upbeat cold wallet. No, it's not. It's stacking behavior, okay? So stop saying that. This is a big sovereign. I am 95% certain of it. They are stacking Bitcoin like crazy. How can an exchange stack $500 million in 30 days? Okay, with a regular cadence, with more aggressive buying when the price falls. All right, this is not the activity of a cold wallet. I've analyzed them all from all the exchanges. This is not typical. Anyway, over the last 7 days, they bought 5,000 Bitcoin. Over the last 30 days, nearly 7,100 Bitcoin. That is a lot. A lot. And we also had other crazy breaking news. Second positive day ever since January 11th for Grayscale. This is going to impact the supply and demand dynamics of Bitcoin, because no longer do you have somebody pushing thousands of Bitcoin every day to the market. It's changed big time. And Hong Kong ETFs, they're not stacking huge, but gradually, a couple hundred a day, not bad. Remember, only 450 Bitcoin are issued a day. These are stacking slowly. And this also, what I love, is it keeps the West honest. They can no longer dump and manipulate price, because who knows, there could be somebody in Hong Kong or somebody like Mr. 100 stacking, buying these dips, which we've seen them do the last 7 days. 10,000 Bitcoin. Whoosh, gone. Okay, quiz for the kids who are watching. What's 10,000 divided by 450? Drop a comment below. Now, who else is stacking? Breaking news. Hightower is also stacking, and all these 13F filings are coming out. And Hightower is a $130 billion wealth manager. And they now own about $70 million worth of Bitcoin ETFs distributed across all 6 issuers. They don't own everything with Fidelity or BlackRock. They're spreading it all around, which is super interesting. And another stacker South State, a $44 billion bank, just reported they have BlackRock, Spot Bitcoin ETF, and GBTC in a new filing. So, again, there's simply not enough Bitcoin to go around if this stacking continues. Again, if it dries up, we'll see. And this actually caused some consternation out there. Breaking news, blockchain data shows that 680 Bitcoin, today worth about 43 million, moved, okay, after a decade of complete dormancy. And these coins first arrived at the address in 2014. And at the time, one Bitcoin was worth less than $900. Now it's worth 44 million. Again, it's moved. It doesn't mean it's going to be sold or whatever else. But sometimes people do that. Anyway, let's jump into some charts. Bitcoin chart time. First of all, this is interesting. This is from Plan B. And the average Bitcoin price of 2020 to 2024 halving cycle was $34,000, a bit below the 2019 stock to flow prediction of $55,000. That means it was 33% off. You can see in historic cycles, the very first cycle it was off by 20%, and then second cycle it was under by 3%, third cycle under by 40%, fourth cycle under by 29%, and fifth cycle, because it's manipulated, over by 33%. So, what's interesting about this is if the stock to flow holds, which it does for things like real estate and platinum and gold to some extent, and if we refit it with the new data below, that means the price of Bitcoin per the stock to flow, if it's accurate, goes to $477,665. And if I give it a 50% haircut, imagine it's totally off by a factor of 50%. That takes us to $239,000, ladies and gentlemen, which is a lot of people are calling for $250 this cycle. So given stock to flow, and I know it works for other assets, this is not beyond the realm of possible. And you saw Adam Back's prediction as well. It believes each Bitcoin, because of its scarcity, which ties to stock to flow, should be worth 10 kilos of gold. By the way, try bringing 10 kilos of gold through an airport. You can't. It's that simple. Now, other breaking news from the team at Econometrics. Shout out to Nick. For what it's worth, Bitcoin's parabolic moves typically come a couple of months after the halving. The question is whether or not the macro conditions will be ripe for that. And if you look at the trajectory growth, we are slightly under average right now, considering the halving compared to all the previous cycles. And I do believe the macro conditions will be very ripe 1, 2, 3 months from now. We'll get Fed cuts. M2 is going positive. A lot of money printing is going to happen. And the Treasury are printing like never before. That's it. And, money printing is not good news because it debases your fiat, but it increases your hard assets. So that's what we like. Anyway, another buying spree. This is from Willy Woo. Never before in the history of Bitcoin have we seen so many high net worth Bitcoin holders as has happened in the last 60 days, with Bitcoin ranging between $60,000 to $70,000. And these buyers are holding between 100 and 1,000 Bitcoin, roughly $6.5 million to $65 million worth. And of course, this is on-chain data here. And of course, these stackers may be wallets for ETFs, so bear that in mind. But the point is, we just saw a lot of 13F reports. I've aggregated a whole list of them. I'll show them tomorrow. And there are big buyers buying, and this is impacting this amount as well. Now, final chart of the day. Who owns the most Bitcoin? MicroStrategy. And by the way, this is public companies and countries with the largest Bitcoin holdings. Number one on the list, 214,400 is MicroStrategy. Number two is the US government, 207,000. Number three is the Chinese government, 194,000. By the way, governments are really good at confiscating Bitcoin. That's how they got big bags. UK, 61,000. Germany, 50,000. Ukraine, 46,000. And Marathon Digital, massive bag, 17,600 now. Hut 8, 9,000, etc. CleanSpark, nearly 6,000. El Salvador, it's interesting. CleanSpark have more Bitcoin than El Salvador as a country. That just shows you. And the block, of course, 8,000 Bitcoin. And the block will be stacking 10% of their profits into Bitcoin as well. So expect that to hit 10,000 real soon. You got Riot 8,500, Galaxy 8,100. So there is now a growing list of perpetual stackers. And Bitcoin only issues 450 Bitcoin a day. All right. Let's talk about the ETFs and I'll let you go and I'll get back to work. Bitcoin black hole time. Day 80 of these ETFs. Big news, all positive again. Second day ever where everything is positive. Only twice in history does that happen. The first time was last Friday, and now it's yesterday. Will this continue? Are the TradFi normies getting FOMO right now? Let's check on the Bitcoin price. 63,600. It's just hovering just below the 64K line. Interesting times. In terms of the chart, again, things are coming back. We had that quiet spell for about 20 days or so, 20 trading days. That's nearly a month. And now things are really picking up again and everything is positive. And the movements of money are not as huge as they were at day 40, but still they're creeping up there. Total money flow into the ETFs, $205.9 million a positive after nearly $600 million last Friday. The $34 billion in the 9 new ETFs, big. And 532,000 Bitcoin in these new ETFs as well. And it's interesting how the dynamic will change because Grayscale is no longer dumping. Second positive day, not as much as Friday, but still not bad and way above trend. So the point is, as Michael Sonnenschein predicted a month or two ago, equilibrium was reached. I think he was premature in that call, but now I do believe perhaps it is as we go forward. And finally, how many Bitcoin were ripped from the system yesterday? Remember, 450 are issued a day, and these puppies took 3,260 out of the system. And that does not include Hong Kong, okay, pulling about 250, 300 out of the system every day. And Mr. 100 just pulled out 300 as well. Add those together, over 4,000, 10x the daily issuance is being sucked in again by these ETFs. And that's big. We know supply crunch is coming. I just can't tell you when. So that's it. Thank you all. Hit the like on the way out if you want to see similar type content like this. And enjoy the day. I'll be back in a few hours with Octa. It's Tuesday. Thank you as well, Sean Donnelly, for being here. And K8 and T&D Tesla must be golfing out there. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And, of course, Solar, Bitcoin, and Coffee. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks, everybody. See you all later. Bye-bye.